Coup fears rise as ex-generals send strong message to Tinubu and governors. Abi, say now, they say na obedience, now then they call for coup. But now Tinubu is already fidgeting. Now he's afraid. Now he's shaking. He doesn't know his fate anymore because first of all, the government is getting worse under his nose, under his watch. We cannot continue to have old men who are completely clueless of governance to continue to lead us or to bear the name, I'm a president, I'm your president. It's crazy. So again, as long as they are just saying coup is not acceptable, but they are not going down to the root cause of the coup in those countries, they are never going to get it right, and they are never going to escape coup as well. So now ex-generals are now telling the government, you better be warned, okay? You better do the right thing, better sit up because we cannot continue like this. The duty of the army is to correct a government that is doing nonsense. That is what they do. So better be careful, okay? So now in Nigeria now, the fear of coup is rising as ex-generals are now sending strong messages to Tinubu and the governors to sit up or they see the thing. Okay. Concerns of possible coup in Nigeria have been raised by retired military generals who have warned President Bola Tinubu and the elected governors against violating the constitution. This warning comes in light of recent coup incidents in Niger Republic and Gabon. The former top military officers emphasized that a disregard for the constitution and lack of good governance could potentially lead to a military takeover in Nigeria. General Alexander Ugomedia, a former chief of defense staff, stated that the occurrence of coup reflects the way elected leaders govern their countries. Okay, he emphasized that if leaders fulfill their campaign promises and respect constitution, there should be no moral justification for a coup. Brigadier General Philip Ashim also highlighted that the key to preventing coups in Africa is ensuring good governance and the well-being of the people, and that is it. So if the leaders, elected leaders, are doing what they're supposed to do, they are obeying rule of law, not by lip service, and they are governing very well, ensuring the welfare of their people, there will be no coup. There will be no coup. That is it. So, and that is actually the root cause of coup in other African countries or anywhere else. Even as big as United States, when Donald Trump was misbehaving in January 2020 election during the insurrection in the Capitol Hill, okay, the military was at alert to see if they had to chase him out of the White House for the next president to enter because he was becoming unbecoming. So the duty of the military is to uphold the constitution, and any elected leader that fails to uphold the constitution and the rule of law, it is the military that will chase them out of office, conduct a free and fair election again, and get someone else to lead. That is the job of the military. Okay, so you don't blame other African countries for having a military coup when they have leaders that are insensitive, that are very selfish, political leaders that come into power by rigging elections and breaking the electoral laws, and then embark on term elongation. So those ones are the reasons the coup are taking place, and those are it is happening in Nigeria. All the bad things that are causing coup in other countries are happening in Nigeria. The only difference that has not happened is term elongation. But then rigging of election, Nigeria is the master. Okay, breaking the rule of law. Nigerian government do not even obey judge. They do not obey court orders. So what are you saying? They rig elections. They pay politicians. They pay touts. They pay street boys to create violence, like what Tinubu did to get to power. Who does that? And which country does that and remain peaceful? It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Now, the retired generals are not telling him, You cannot say there shouldn't be coup when you are not doing the needful as an elected politician, as an elected leader. So what is causing coup is because you guys are not doing what you're supposed to do. So better be aware that if you don't do well, if you don't do well, they will bound to be military coup. So because of this advice, I think the fear of coup is rising, and there's somebody saying something here. Want to see some comments. People are reacting to this advice coming from the retired generals. Some say, I want stupid opportunists. Leave them now, make them know here. Then go soon feel the heat, Abby. All of them are who are you calling opportunists? Is it the military generals or the politicians in power? Okay. Someone say, honestly, bro, you have said nothing but the truth. Where do the military themselves derive the powers to forcefully take over any government? Can you imagine? The stupid generals pretending to have the interests of the country at heart, only to come and loot and acquire trust properties for themselves and retire to a life of luxury. Can you imagine? So, okay, no matter what you do or say to our leaders in 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 power, that will make them change. Nigeria coup is overdue because what happened in Nigeria happens in their in other countries. They will burn down their country. Nigeria is the most corrupt country in Africa. What happened to Nigeria that you want to burn country? Abi, my dear, help me and ask them. They don't see anything good in Nigeria. There's nothing good in Nigeria. Go and sleep. What is good in Nigeria? To hell with those ex-generals. Are they not part of those who let this country down from military to democratic eras? Okay, they still remain in charge. This is the only period in which a ex-military man would lead the country since the return of democracy. Who told you the only period? Who was Jonathan and Goodluck Jonathan and the Yaradua? Were they military? Go and sleep. So you stupid man, was it like this when they left? You will soon be left alone with your crazy democracy of politicians for the politicians and by the politicians. Was Omar Musa Yar'Adua a military man? Was Goodluck Berry Jonathan a military man? I wonder why people would come to public space to disgrace themselves and say what they don't know exactly. Because they are tribalists now. All these ones supporting Tinubu's government are all tribalists, tribal bigots. That is it. They're all tribal bigots. And that's why they're trying to say military shouldn't come in. These retired military generals should stop encouraging military takeover with unnecessary ways of military takeover, as Nigerians are not ready to condone Abacha's system of military rule, so stop it. But you better stop what you're doing too. We've seen that they say military is corrupt. Now we have seen that politicians are more corrupt than the military. So which of two evils you choose the best. Nigerians are ready to welcome military rule in place of president with stolen mandate background. And that is it. With Tinubu's civilian democratic coup d'etat, the only available antidote is a violent military takeover of government immediately. That is it. The military generals are even worse in terms of corruption. So tell them, my brother, okay, the retired generals is not 100% right. As else the past government wouldn't have lasted 1 year because it was the worst government we have had. No, but we are dipping down now. Now, comparing the time of military and the time of democracy, you have seen that the politicians are more corrupt and are worse. Okay, what Tinubu did to come to power, how can you explain that? Coup has happened in Nigeria now. When someone forces his way to leadership, is it not coup? Unless we are talking about double coup. Counter coup, you mean to say. Counter coup, you mean to say. That is it. So, leave that, the truth of the matter is that we cannot continue under this government. It's terrible. That is the truth. So thank you for listening. Let's have your comment as Tinubu fidgets over rise of military coup in Africa.